Hey guys, today we're going to install an exhaust cutout on my 2012 Mazdaspeed 3. Now the reason I'm making this video is because I haven't really found any good videos online on exactly how to do this or where to put it. So I'm in here in the garage. It's about 14 degrees outside. Well, this is my car here. Basically the only thing done to it is an intake and a resonator delete. So I want a little bit more noise out of it. So I bought one of these just standard 2.5 inch exhaust cutouts here that looks like this. Basically you hook it up to your cigarette lighter and it has a basically you have an on and off button that can open or close this valve inside here. So basically, first step, I'm going to jack up the car and I'm going to take off just the muffler section, and then I'm going to take it up to my shop and going ahead and TIG weld it on. So I'm going to take you along for the ride and hopefully you guys learn something. Okay, so I went ahead and got the car jacked up, and now I got a big piece of cardboard, and I'm gonna go underneath the car and undo a couple bolts and a couple exhaust hangers and pull that back. I guess you call it the axle back or just the muffler section of the exhaust. As for an update for you guys, I just got out the muffler section of the exhaust. Took me about 45 minutes, longer than I expected. Some of these hangers were giving me some issues, like most of you probably have done it before, but I basically just sprayed some WD-40 up inside of those rubber bushings, I guess you call them, and pry bar and just some force, and they popped off. So you got one here, you got two here, and then you got one by where it connects to the other section of the exhaust, and then you have two bolts that bolt it onto the mid pipe, and they are 14mm sockets. And go ahead and make sure that you use a deep socket. A just standard short one will not work. You have to use one of the longer ones. And after 45 minutes, you'll have that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up real quick just so you guys can get an idea of what one of these cars sounds like without a muffler and without a resonator. Okay, so here we go. Clutch in, neutral. Now it is cold, so I'm not gonna rev it up, but I'm about to go for a drive. I need to run to Home Depot. So I guess I'll do an in-car clip, but as of right now, this is what it sounds like. Significantly louder, but that's one of the nice things about that valve. So you don't actually have to open that valve up all the way. You can actually just open it up, you know, a third the way, half the way, or whatever you want, so I can kind of adjust the noise that I get. But I'm happy as of right now, and I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Hey guys, just wanted to give you an update of where we are. I went ahead and got that exhaust cutout welded up onto the muffler section. So it took me a while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do, because I knew that I didn't just want to dump it because I don't like the smell of exhaust. I wanted to make sure that all those exhaust fumes actually exited through one of the tips. So if you guys remember, that piece kind of looked like a Y. It had an arm coming out, and then imagine my thumb is the cutout. So what I ended up doing is I cut out that straight portion and I welded it in to this pipe here. And then I basically did some pie cuts to make a 90-degree bend to go back into one of these tips. Now I know the welds don't look very good. I'm not a professional by any means, but it should hold up. But basically there's two reasons I wanted to do this. One, to make sure that the exhaust fumes actually exited through one of the tips. And two, I knew that I didn't want to actually cut up my muffler and weld in that section, because I wanted to make sure everything was still straight and still, like, it would still fit into the car. So this is what I came up with. I'm really excited. I personally think it came out pretty good, and I can't wait to see how it sounds. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a coat of paint on it, and then later today I'm going to install it. As for that, I will see you in a bit. Hey guys, so I'm in the car right now. This is without the exhaust on. This is only basically it just has the cats. There's no resonator, no muffler. So I'll put the window down here, and I mean, it's pretty loud. I'm in second gear, 3,500 RPMs. It's a little icy out, that's why I slipped like that. Downshift. I mean, it sounds pretty good. It's definitely the loudness that I was looking for. It's a little bit more droney than I was hoping, but I think once I have the exhaust put back on, that won't be an issue. And it's the right amount of loud, not too loud, and I'm extremely excited to get that section back on and have that valve. All right, thanks guys. All right, so I went ahead and got a coat of black paint, actually a couple coats of black paint on this, and it looks a lot better. I'm extremely happy with the way it turned out. I think it's gonna work great, and I know a lot of you probably gonna comment on the fact that this goes straight down and not more at an angle, but due to clearance reasons, this was kind of the best way to do it. And I mean, exhaust will always travel in the way of least resistance. So I'm not really afraid of the exhaust going back through the muffler in the other direction. I think it's gonna pretty easily go out the tip here. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and bolt up this valve that I took off to weld and paint. Basically, if you're curious, it just uses this gear here to turn the valve on and off, and it has 3 bolts bolting it on. And I'm gonna go ahead and use some blue Permatex, some thread locker. I've heard some horror stories of these bolts backing out and people losing this motor. So I'm gonna make sure I do this right, and the next step is actually gonna be reinstalling it. So I'll check in with you guys here in a little bit. Hey guys, I just got the muffler section of the exhaust put back in with the valve. And the next step is actually to start doing the wiring. So this kit makes it pretty easy to work with. Basically, let's go into the car here. So here's the motor, and it has just a simple connection here that you can wire. And then it goes, it's I'd say probably a 10 to a 15 foot long cord with another end that looks like this. And basically you just have to find a way to get it into your car and up to a cigarette lighter. And then, so that wire that I just showed you goes to this little box. So it has 2 inputs. So say that you have a dual exhaust, you can have 1 for each pipe. And then it goes to just a single port, and then that goes to your cigarette lighter like I have there. And then this is the little key that I was referring to earlier, where you can open and close the valve. But what's nice is that it doesn't just all the way open or all the way close. You can actually control it. So if you want it open like halfway or a third of the way, you can just release the button sooner. So that works out pretty well. So what's nice about these Mazdas is that cigarette lighter actually only is lit when the car is on, so that this will not drain your battery. So the next step is, like I said, to find a way to get that wire inside your car, and I'll check back in with you guys once I figure that out. Hey, I just figured out how to do the wiring, so I will go over and show you kind of what I did. So I ran it, I haven't zip tied anything up yet, but I ran it from the motor through a little hole in the firewall, or it's not a firewall, through a little hole in the rear bumper, I guess. And then I ran the wire up through the bumper behind the tail light. And then I ran it down underneath my carpet and then ran it around underneath the seat. I ran it down through here, tucked it up underneath this kick tray, and then ran it underneath my seat into the rear armrest. So the center console here. And then basically what I did is down at the bottom there are two 8mm holes, and the one on the right I drilled bigger with a 1/2-inch drill bit, and I ran the wire through. So I decided I'm actually going to plug in the module in here and just keep everything tucked away in my center console. So that's basically how I did it. And next step is to put everything back together, and then I'm done. All right, guys, so I went ahead and got everything done. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start it up for you guys so you can see kind of what it sounds like. So I'm not for sure if the valves are open or closed right now, so it might be loud or it might be quiet. I guess we'll find out. I'm extremely happy with the way everything came out. It looks very OEM stock. I went ahead and threw a coat of black paint on my tips because they were all carbonized. So I will go ahead and start it up. This car hasn't ran most of the day today, probably for 6 hours or so. So this is, I would consider it a cold start. Gotta find a good place to set you guys. Yeah, that looks good. All right, I'll go ahead and start it up. That sounds like that is with the valves closed. There's also exhaust fumes coming out of both sides, so I'd say that is closed. So I got my clicker here. Let's go ahead and open it. And there's open. Not sure if you guys could tell a difference there. I'm going to do a couple revs with it closed and then a couple revs with it open. You can't really tell that much of a difference while it's just sitting here at idle, but you can definitely tell when you're driving it around. So I might make a clip tomorrow about like driving around and seeing how much of a difference it makes there. But I guess I should answer the question, would I recommend anybody to do this mod? So I did not expect it to be as difficult as it was, but that you can also take that at a grain of salt, because I kind of took it as at a more difficult direction, because I did want those exhaust fumes still to come out the exit. I didn't want to just do a straight dump because I don't like the smell of exhaust fumes, and I didn't want a bad drone underneath the car. So if you guys have some pretty good experience with welding and fabrication, I would definitely say yes, do it. But if you don't have much experience with that, I would save your money and just get an axle back exhaust system, you know, a $300 eBay one or something along those lines. I am extremely happy with it. If I were to do it over again, I would definitely do it over again. But if I were to do it over again, I'd probably change where I put it, kind of, because it did give me some issues while I was reinstalling it. But everything's good now. I had to make a little bit of a clearance, but here you guys go. Thanks for watching.